Hi there, thanks for joining us. It's the sweet spot, the number one place for all the hot golf chat and best tournament previews. I'm Bruce Millington, and joining me to look back on a memorable, delayed, unique 2020 US Masters is Joe Champion. We will also be looking ahead to two great tournaments this week. We've got the RSM Classic, and in South Africa, it's the Joburg Open. The show goes on. Steve Palmer's having a week off. He'll be back next week, but in the meantime, Joe and I will chew over what were four incredible, unique days at Augusta in November. No azaleas, but the course looked fantastic. They had these incredible drone shots, which really gave a good sense of the elevation. And elevating himself to a new level was the champion, Dustin Johnson, 20 under. Who'd have thought it? He absolutely took the course apart. Brilliant, 1 by 5. A couple of surprises in joint second, Sungjae Im and Cameron Champ. Joe, if you backed, I think there was a big 7 going into the tournament, wasn't there? And with all these extra places floating about, if you backed 5 of those each way, you either won on DJ or you got a decent place payout with the other 4. So it was probably a punter's masters, wasn't it?
Yeah, you say that, though. I don't think DJ was as popular as others towards the top of the market, which is hard to believe, really, considering everything he's achieved over the last couple of months. I mean, he absolutely flew home at the Northern Trust by about 10 shots, didn't he? And then was second to Rahm at the BMW, won the Tour Championship. I think he's had 6 or 7 top 6 finishes in a row, and he's capped it off by winning the Masters. But
and had COVID in between as well.
He did, of course, yeah. It doesn't seem like the type of thing that's going to bother Dustin Johnson, though. There's not many things that do, is there? Yeah, fantastic performance from him. But, I think there were other people who, Bryson DeChambeau, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, John Rahm are all a bit more fancied than DJ, which, as I said now, is hard to believe looking back on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because obviously we're back at Augusta for a normal slot in 2021 in April. So 2 Masters in 5 months. That's a real bonus. We'll look ahead to the betting for that, but let's just pick through some of the bones of that. I mean, obviously, like I say, DJ's play was just absolutely flawless. Thomas and Rory, I mean, he was on tilt at one point, wasn't he, Joe? And then he pulled his way back up there really, really well, didn't he? That flat spot kind of does worry me a bit, though. Do you think has he still got it that he can put 4 consistent rounds together to actually win one of these?
Well, that remains to be seen. I mean, obviously Steve put Rory up. I'm sure he was tearing his hair out after the first round. And if you want to win the Masters, don't give 10 shots away to the world number 1 going into the second round. We've seen that he can handle the course. He took it apart. I think he was sort of 13 under or 14 under for the last 3 rounds, which is comparable with what DJ did, really. And I think, I don't know, I can't work McIlroy out. He seems like there's some sort of mental block when it comes to Augusta. Maybe it is just the fact that this is the one he needs so much. He just wants it too much. Is it in his head now? I don't know. I still think he's got the game to win there. Clearly he has got the game to win there, but I wouldn't be confident backing him in April.
What did you make of Brooks Koepka's performance? Because obviously, if we turn the clock back a couple of years, he was just the man. He was mopping up majors, time after time after time, and then went completely off the boil. But it looks like there could be a return to form there. And if that's the case, then we're entering an era here where you've got DJ, you've got Koepka. We'll talk about DeChambeau in a minute. Is he up with that lot? Who knows? Thomas is obviously always going to be a factor. Koepka's back, isn't he, basically?
Yeah, I think so. It does come with risks attached because you never know these niggling injuries. They keep coming back to him. It's the knee, it's the hip. He's had wrist problems. That's quite a lot for a guy who is a big guy who hits the ball really far. I mean, that's going to take it out of you if you keep swinging the club like that. I think that's what might eventually fall foul of Brighton, really, to be honest with you. But
absolutely. I want to talk about Big Johnny Rahm because, at halfway, he was favourite. He looked like he was in fantastic position, but he just got stuck on that kind of 9 under mark, didn't he? Is there a temperament issue still with him? He can just get a bit volcanic, can't he? I don't know with John Rahm. I think he's going to win a major, isn't he? But would you be confident backing him when there's so many other great players he's got to compete with? And he's just got to keep his cool, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, he was my best bet in the RFO last week. And to be honest, I thought I was sitting on at least someone who was going to be in the mix come the weekend. And I think the draw kind of didn't help him, actually, because he resumed early Saturday morning. He made a birdie at the first, but he was close in anyway, and then kind of stalled after that, went through the rest of the round in level par, and then I think that didn't really help him come the afternoon, and he didn't kick on, and then obviously he had that absolute shocker on the 8th where he topped his second and went straight into the trees, and from there it just didn't look like he had it. His irons weren't dialed in, and yeah, I think temperament is an issue. I don't know. I assume you've been on the Masters app where you can see the shots of all your players. It's a brilliant little tool. And I was following Rahm and pretty much watching every shot he played. And the amount of times he's hit drives left and right and he's smashing the club around. And yeah, I think the temperament issues are still there with him. But he's obviously a fantastic talent and he will win a major soon enough. But yeah, I may want to see him do it now before I consider backing him again. Although that being said, I'll probably put him up again in April.
I'll tell you what, talk about that US Masters app. That is one of the smartest little digital innovations I've seen in ages. I thought when I saw it, and there's a little tutorial video on it, isn't there? And I thought, oh, this will be good. And then when it actually comes to it, if you've had 4 or 5 3-ball bets and they're in groups that aren't going to get featured, you can just follow it. Oh, it was absolutely superb. I really, really did like that. I thought that was an absolute game changer. So we've had the good. We've had the not so good. What about the ugly? I mean, Bryson DeChambeau, Joe, he teed off on the 10th, and it's a hard par 4 that, and he had about a 5-foot downhill putt. This is his first hole on Thursday. Yeah. And at that point, when he stood over that, he'd gone down to 7 on Betfair, 6-1 on Betfair. So basically, with 2 swipes, he's suddenly gone from kind of 9 or 10 to 7. I thought, wow, is he going to run away with this? And from that point on, he slid that one wide. It was shambolic at times, wasn't it? It was bored. Considering the fella came in saying this is a par 67 for me, it was borderline embarrassing, wasn't it? And I feel embarrassed having been so confident and putting him up. It's definitely the bleakest moment in my betting career. But I mean, what's the future hold for this guy? Because there's going to be courses he is going to take apart, aren't there? Well, as he did it obviously in the US Open, but he's a conundrum for punters, isn't he?
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't have been confident backing him. The price, easy to say now, but I said as much when I wrote my tipping piece on Monday. He's not been a great Augusta player so far, and the greens seem to outfox him as well. But I think he's a clever guy. I mean, he's Marmite. I mean, I don't particularly like him that much, but he will get to grip to it eventually. Some people do love Marmite. I think that's a difference between him and Marmite. Yeah. I don't think he's very popular. I'm not even sure he's that clever, because some of the stuff he comes out with is actually, I think it's a bit pseudo nonsense. So I think he lacks a bit of self-awareness for a start, doesn't he? And he's a bit of a tit overall. But
that's a good description.
He's got the game to go well there. I just think he needs to rein himself in sometimes. You can't. It's Augusta. You can't go and just bomb it on every hole. Like he may well try to. Ironically, it turned out it was a par 67 for Dustin Johnson, of course, as he shot 20 under. But I think we'll see better from him in April. But I would not be confident backing him now.
No. 2 other little things, not really betting focused. I loved having Butch Harmon back on commentaries. I thought that was lovely. I missed him massively. And the other thing is, I think we just need to pay a bit of homage to Tiger Woods, taking a 10 on a par 3 and then coming back and birdieing 5 your last 6 holes. I mean, that's a champion, isn't it?
Oh yeah, wonderful stuff from Tiger. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was horrible to see him take that 10. That 12 hole was a nightmare. And actually, we should probably pay tribute to how DJ played that as well. He just put it right next to the hole, knocked it in. And that was pretty much the tournament over from there. But yeah, Tiger, wonderful stuff. Great to see him finish like that, really. You don't want to see your defending champion walk off like that.
Absolutely not. Anyone else from lower down the cast who shone for you, Joe, and you think, wow, this is a guy who I need to keep on my radar?
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned them, but both Cameron Smith and Sung Jae In were very impressive in coming second. I mean, if it wasn't for a freakish performance from DJ, they'd have been right there.
Yeah, it's not often 15 under doesn't get it done at Augusta.
Yeah, they were both excellent. 2 players with big futures. Sung Jae burst onto the scene, has been in the doldrums a bit recently. He's putted badly, but seemed to fall in love with Augusta on his first go there. And Cameron Smith's got a bit of history there, so they're both ones to watch in April. But I suspect unless they win something between now and then, they're not going to shorten up massively.
I thought Cameron Champ had a good week. I mean, on Sunday, I think his scorecard was incredible, wasn't it? Because you put him up, didn't you? He was one of your tips. And I think basically he would have absolutely shot the lights out, but he had a triple bogey and a double bogey on the par threes, didn't he?
It was worse than that. I think he had
he might have had a
6
7
and a 7.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Me and Steve.
So he's given 7 shots back. He's given 7 shots back on 2 par threes and still shot a respectable round. I think this could be his place in the years to come, don't you?
Yeah, he shot a level par round despite giving away 7 shots. I definitely think so. If you backed him this year, then it's unfortunate, but it's certainly laid down a marker for the future. He's a player to watch, and as we know, Augusta does favour those who can hit it a long way if you can find the fairways, which is exactly what Bryson didn't do for most of the week.
Absolutely. One more player before we move on to this week's tournaments, Justin Thomas. I mean, here's a guy who's got the game, obviously, to contend week in, week out, but there's something there that just slightly kind of raises question marks about me. I think I was trying to work out what it is. I just think sometimes his putter goes cold. I think to win these tournaments now, Joe, you've got every single part of your game has to be absolutely perfect. You know, you've got to do everything. You've got to drive accurately. Your approach play's got to be brilliant. You've got to scramble when needs be, and you've got to putt like an absolute god. I just think with Justin Thomas, maybe his putter goes a little bit cold. What do you make of him? I
love JT as a player. I think you can pretty much count on him to go well at these courses that suit him. But I do get where you're coming from with the putter. It is a worry, but that being said, he's drained plenty of big putts in tournaments before. Do you remember that playoff at the Workday where he got beat by Morikawa? He drained an absolute monster and still managed to lose. I mean, I don't think it's a massive concern going forward. I'd be a bit worried with how he has been when he's been in contention recently. I was on him when he won the WGC in August, but he nearly gave that away. Hit one over the trees, nearly went in the water. And he's done that a couple of times. He did it at the Zozo recently when he was in the final group with Jon Rahm. They both had chances to win, and then Paddy Cantlay came and won. I want to see him go out and win a major again before I think about backing him, unless the price is right. To be honest, he had his chances last week, and I think the third round where he hit the ball in the water at 15 was probably what did for him. Never looked like continuing on Sunday.
That was so. Before we look back on the 2020 months, let's look ahead to 2021. Have you got a little show for us early for like I say, we've only got 5 months to wait before the show returns to Augusta.
Yeah, so unsurprisingly, DJ's your 8-1 favourite. Rory McIlroy is 10-1. Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, and Justin Thomas are all 11-1. Brooks Koepka's 14s, and Xander Schauffele is 18s, 28-1 bar. If you were having a bet now, who would it be? I don't think I want to take anyone at the top of the market because I can't see any of them shortening up massively, to be honest. You've got to look a bit further down for any value. The one I can see potentially shortening up, and he's had a good couple of weeks, is Hideki Matsuyama, who, putting's the issue for him. Everyone
never
knows
wins.
That. Well, that's the thing. He might win between now and the Masters. There's plenty of tournaments to play between now and April, and I could see him potentially. He's 35-1. He could potentially get to around the 20-1 mark if he wins, sort of in February, March time.
Yeah, I think the thing with backing anyone now for the Masters, you've got to think of 2 things. One is, are the bookmakers going to offer the extra places like they usually? There's no real point betting anti-post on golf now because you're getting 5 or 6 places now, and then you come the day you're getting 10 or 11 places. Is anything going to happen to really change the prices? Probably not. The other thing, of course, is the bookmakers got, be in no doubt, Joe, the bookmakers got an absolute caning on this tournament. They had one of the big 7 win, 4 of the others all placed. It was a horrible tournament for them. So we'll see how generous they are with the extra places. Hopefully they will keep them because it's a fantastic innovation that's come in the last 2 or 3 years. Okay, that was the Masters. Let's look ahead to this week. Joe, are you confident? We've got 2 great tournaments. Before you give us your selections, when you're looking at the prices and doing your study and doing your research, do you think, I'm going to have a good week? Yeah,
I think so. I think this week's a good week. We've got course form on offer at both courses, which is a big help, I think, when you're trying to find the winner. So
absolutely. Okay, well, let's look at the first one. It's the RSM Classic. And while we're still in Georgia, we're down at Sea Island. Beautiful location, beautiful venue, but very, very different to Augusta. Tell us what Sea Island is like and what kind of players it'll suit before you give us your selections?
So Sea Island is basically, it's just full of PGA Tour players. They all live there. They've all got these massive houses, sort of Zach Johnson's there, all those guys. We've got 2 courses this week. They play this every year. We've got the Seaside course, which is a 7,005-yard par 70, so not very long. And even shorter is the Plantation course, 7,060 yards, but it's a par 72. So what they'll do is they'll play 1 round on each course over the first 2 rounds, and they'll play the last 3 on the Seaside, which is the tougher course. So you want to be scoring low on the Plantation, really.
Okay, right. None of the so-called Big 7 of world golf are here, but a lot of the players who were involved at Augusta are. And if we have a look at the prices, Webb Simpson, I think, is favourite around about 10-1. Tyrrell Hatton, one of the disappointments at Augusta, who missed the cut, he's 16s. Sun Jae-im, who never, ever has a week off. One of the first rules of sport is that Sun Jae-im has to play. Rather than go and celebrate and get blind drunk and have a party after finishing second in the Masters, he's toddled down to Sea Island. He's 20-1. Tommy Fleetwood, 22s, and it's 28-1 bar those. Okay, I think you got 5 selections for each tournament, Joe. So rattle through them in order of preference.
I'll just touch on the favourites first. Webb Simpson loves this tournament. He's available at 10-1, but I'm not too keen on getting involved with people that were towards the top of the Masters. I've got one who was in the top of the Masters, but these guys coming off the back of a major, they all wanted to win that. So, they may not perform to their absolute best this week. Simpson was beaten in a playoff in this event last year by Tyler Duncan. It's one of those courses where you can set your watch to Webb Simpson. He just turns up and plays well. Probably placed, but not for me at the price. And, as you mentioned, Sung Jae-im, did you know he doesn't have a house, Bruce? I think they mentioned that about 8 times.
No, I didn't hear that. No, there was no mention. Apparently, he just lives in a hotel. I did hear that once or twice. I must say.
Well, rumor has it he's getting a house in Atlanta. So that's a marker for the Masters in the future, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Right. So on to the best bets. And Russell Henley is the man for me this week. He's a high class player who's lost his way. He's Georgia through and through. Is Russell Henley? He's actually moved up the road to South Carolina now, but he's from Macon in Georgia, and he went to the University of Georgia. And an absolute class act. He's won 3 times on the PGA Tour, and suddenly, after a couple of years in the wilderness, he's rediscovered his form pretty fantastically since the restart. Really, he's made 11 cuts from his last 12 starts, underpinned by a fantastic resurgence to his long game. Tee to green is next. I think last season he was ranking 3rd on the PGA Tour from tee to green strokes gained, and this year he's carried on. He's in the top 10 again. He's played well in this tournament in the past. I think he's missed the last 2 cuts in actually, but I think you can forget about that because his form did dip so severely. Prior to that, from 2014 to 2016, he had 3 top 10 finishes. And he won this at this course, the Seaside course, in 2010 in a college event as well. So he clearly loves it. 4 top 10s in his last 7 events. And that included 4th at the Zozo and 3rd at Shadow Creek. Shadow Creek's a Tom Fazio design, same as this course this week. There's not a lot to not like about Russell Henley, really. I find his excellent tee to green game. He'll be finding fairways here and peppering those pins as well. Okay,
so Henley's the main man. Rattle through the other 4 for us.
So the one who did tee it up and play very well at the Masters, Sebastian Munoz.
I'm glad you put him up. I was going to say, he's a player who I was backing at massive prices last week, Joe, because he's underrated, isn't he? His form's better than his market position suggests. And he's another one who, like Champ, had a couple of horror holes on Sunday. Otherwise, he might have got placed. I like this guy. So go on, tell us more.
Yeah, he's very good. He's been super consistent recently. As you mentioned, 19th for the Masters. I'm sure if you'd have offered him 19th for the Masters, he'd have probably taken it at the start of the week. It just so happened that he got himself into a position where he could threaten to get in the top 5 and then did have a 75 in the final round. But yeah, a very good performance for a guy who is going places. I mean, that's his Masters debut as well. 27th or higher in his last 8 of his last 9 events, which, I think you're getting 8 places with most of the firms on this tournament. So you've got to expect him to be there or thereabouts going into the weekend. He's already a PGA Tour winner. He won the Sanderson Farms last year, and also in this event finished third behind Tyler Duncan and Webb Simpson, which is obviously a massive positive as well. He's impressed in good fields. This is a better field than we'd usually get for the RSM this week, just because of its proximity to the Masters. They've all decided to stick around, particularly the English boys, who obviously don't fancy coming back to lockdown, I think. Munoz has played well in good fields. This won't phase him at all. I think he's ready to win again. And next one, I've got a couple of Sea Island residents. I've already mentioned Zach Johnson. Zach Johnson, we know how good Zach Johnson is with the putter. This is a tournament where we're going to get to a sort of winning score of about sort of between the -15 to -20 range. You need to be holding putts to contend this week. And there's been some shows of good form from Zach Johnson, who fell away a little bit, but this is a two-time major winner. 51st at Augusta, of course, doesn't suit him like it did when he won, when it was a wedge contest. That's not a bad effort, really. 7th in the Wyndham, 8th in the US Open, 90th for the Shriners. There's patches of good form from someone who's played well in this event. He was 8th in 2017, 7th in 2018. I think Zach Johnson, decent each way price. Another St. Simon's Island, Sea Island man, JT Poston, who is a player I really like. Missed the cut on the Masters debut. That's not a massive issue, really. It doesn't relate particularly massively this week. Was previously third at the Sanderson Farms, 27th at the Shriners, 20th at the Houston Open, and won the 2019 Wyndham Championship. I've already mentioned Webb Simpson. He has an affinity with the Wyndham. Simpson also won the Heritage earlier this year. That's a course where JT Poston's finished 6th and 8th in his last two starts. So it's that sort of coastal West Coast course that these players always seem to do well at. Poston's got good form on them. He was only 14th in the RSM last year. I say only, that's a good finish. He actually missed his first 3 cuts, but finished 14th last year. So he's getting to grips with this course, and it's a course he does know well, being a local guy. And the last one is the 2017 winner, Austin Cook, who pretty much fell off a cliff when he won this event. He didn't really.
Blimey, that's a weird way to celebrate.
Yeah, not realistically, not literally. Sorry. He's come back to form a lot recently. Most recently in the Shriners, which is his 2 tournaments ago for him. He was beaten in a playoff by Martin Laird, him and Matt Wolff. That was a thrilling finale. I was on Matt Wolff, so obviously I was furious. But
I was on Cook.
Yeah. That was a very good performance from Austin Cook, his best since the RSM victory. And he made the cut number in Houston last time out, and then shot 68, 66 over the weekend as well. So he comes into this event in pretty good form.
Okay, excellent. That's the RSM Classic. Russell Henley, Zach Johnson, Sebastian Munoz, Austin Cook, and who have I forgotten?
Poston.
JT Poston. Thank you very much, Joe. Okay, let's move across to South Africa for the Joburg Open. It's not a star-studded lineup. I think Christian Bezuidenhout was playing in Augusta last week. He heads the market around about 14-1. Shop around for best prices, obviously. 16-1, Adrian Otegwe, second favourite. Juice Loughton, his 18s. It's 20-1, Brandon Stone, and another South African, Garrick Higo. So that gives you a kind of idea of the class of players we've got. You got 5 more tips, Joe. Who are you pinning your main hopes on?
We're at the Firethorn course this week at Rand Park. They've played here 3 times, and the Joburg Open in 2017, and most recently the South African Open in 2018 and 2020. The guy that won the Joburg Open in 2017, Shabanka Sharma, is my best bet this week. That was his first win, and this is a course that the 7,500 yards, you might think that it requires a bit of length, but this is Johannesburg. We're in the high veld. It's going to play to about 7,000 yards realistically. And Sharma, that's his game really. He's not a long hitter. He's accurate off the tee, and he's a good iron player as well, which is important here. Sharma's form had dipped earlier this year and last year, but 26th in Scotland at the Scottish Open and 48th at Wentworth were decent finishes. It just showed that in good fields he was going the right way. This is not as good a field. And then in Cyprus, he finished 14th in the Cyprus Open. And then in the Cyprus Showdown, he shot 3 good rounds, missed the cut on the number in that final, going into that final round of the Showdown with a 69, but 3 rounds in the 60s. And I think he's ready to win again. So Shubhankar Sharma is my best bet. And then I've got 4 more. Next one is Johannes Verman, who's a player who's very, very impressive recently. 10th at Valderrama and 8th in Portugal. A pretty good start for this young American. And then he's rocked up in Cyprus. He didn't play particularly well the first week there, but he did play really well in the Showdown. He shot 262 over the 4 rounds and obviously didn't win because of the interesting format of the event, which I did actually enjoy, but maybe not from a punting point of view. Also, he's 74th in the race to Dubai, and I think he'll want to make it to Dubai. He needs to be top 60. That's a good opportunity for him to do that this week at a course where he was 13th last year, or earlier this year, rather.
And the other 3?
The other 3, one that I was hoping might go under the radar, but nothing ever gets past these bookies, is Danny van Tonder, who's won 4 of the last 6 events on the Sunshine Tour. That's the African Tour. That's pretty good form. I mean, this is obviously a better field, but it's not a massive step up in grade. And for someone to go out and win 4 out of 6 events, just as a comparison, Bezuidenhout's only a 2-time Sunshine Tour winner. Van Tonder's won 4 of the last 6. Hasn't played well here in the past, but he's completely left behind his previous form. So I think he's in a winning mood, and I think that probably shouldn't be overlooked this week. Some players struggle to win. He obviously doesn't. 2 at bigger prices as well. Another Sunshine Tour guy, Jack Blau. He's got 4 consecutive top 6 finishes on the Sunshine Tour, so not quite Van Tonder-esque, but very good. And he's played well in these events before, these co-sanctioned Sunshine Tour, European Tour events. 2nd at the Schwani a couple of times, 6th and 4th at the 2018 South Africa Open, 7th in this event twice, and 15th in this at the South African Open at this course earlier this year. And the last one is Nicolai Højgaard, Rasmus's twin brother. Not quite playing as well as his brother, but he's definitely got plenty of talent. He's already shown that. He was 2nd at the KLM Open, and he's been wild off the tee recently, but he's a player who I really like. He probably won't be as good as his brother, but there's definitely potential for him to get there. And he was 16th for the Italian Open last time out, where he produced a much better driving display, and I think that is going to underpin his career in the future.
Excellent. Well done, Joe. Some great stuff there. So just to review, there's Shubhankar Sharma, Johannes Verman, Danny van Tonder, Johannes Blau, and Nicolai Højgaard. That's it, isn't it?
Jacques Blau.
Jacques Blau. What did I say?
Johannes.
Oh,
there's too much Johannes going on this week.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. Jacques Blau. Okay, Joe, many thanks for that. Joe Champion is the resident racing and football outlet, golf tipster, and coughs up plenty of winners, so check him out in that fantastic little newspaper. Steve Palmer will be back refreshed next week to look ahead to 2 more great tournaments. Don't forget, please do gamble responsibly. If you did manage to win a few quid last week and you fancy playing with your winnings, don't go mad. Just bet with money you can afford to lose. We'll see you next week for another Sweet Spot.